Okay, I gotta take a drink. How are the dogs?
They're good. They're currently outside. I hope I don't get a delivery during this.
Yeah, I understand completely. Okay, uh, episode 2 of the Spotlight. We are going to spotlight one of my favorite people, and also one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in my career is directly tied to my man, Eric. As you can see, he's also gracious enough to be my personal coach, and I feel bad for him. Uh, yeah, so he helps me when I'm stuck and struggling. So he's obviously a fantastic human. And we're here to spotlight him and the things he's done. I think there's a ton of great things that Eric has done. I want to make sure everybody has a chance to see and hear about it. Cool. Cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, first step is as you and I have talked about, and as I've talked about on some of the content that I create, there is no clear path to becoming a scrum master, agile coach, or anything like that. Like, no one goes to school to learn a thing. It's a thing that you discover on your own and acquire uh, the knowledge and an excitement about it. So, how did you land in the world of agile, and what are the things that got you fired up and had you build a career in it?
Yeah, great question. I kind of found Agile and IT, to be honest, accidentally. I started my career selling motorcycle insurance, ironically. Um, before I sold, that's actually how I got into riding motorcycles. But I got tired of selling, and I was like, hey, let me try this thing called IT. We were building a new website, and I was trying to help them with that, and uh, I fell in love with it, which was surprising because I had a psychology degree in school. I did not go to school for IT. Um, so that was around '06. And when as soon as I got in there, man, I was like, this is awful. The way that we do projects, the long requirements phase I mean, we were working 12, 16-hour nights for months on end trying to meet deadlines. And I hated it. I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. And that's how I found Agile. I just started looking like, is there something different that we can do? Can we change this? Like, there's got to be something different. And so I learned about Agile, and at first I hated it because I was an analyst, and you don't really find a whole lot of roles for an analyst on a Scrum team. Um, but then I learned about the Scrum Master role and fell in love with it. Um, when I got to learn that I could help coach people, I can coach teams, I can help process improvement. Like, that's what sold it for me. And um, I guess you could say I drank the Kool-Aid and have been all in ever since.
Right. Yeah. So, Agile became something that I think just natural for Eric. And we met when I was working at Dude Solutions, and we were hiring Agile coaches. And Eric came in a very non-traditional way, which I loved. Right, he came in jeans and a t-shirt and a big gold chain. Like, it was nice. It probably weighed about 3 or 4 pounds, but it was pretty awesome. And he came in and he crushed the interview. And then interesting things happen. I don't want to say a word. I want this to just come straight from you about what happened after that.
Well, I still remember the day, Josh. It was May 13th, 2016. I was relaxing after a good workout. I was actually taking a nap, and I get a call from Josh Anderson on my phone, and he says, "Bro, you did great, but can't hire you. We're gonna go with a known quantity, which I know who the quantity is, and he's great as well." Um, yeah, so Josh said no, and it absolutely crushed me. I had to go see a therapist shortly after that. Uh, just kidding. But no, it was definitely an interesting experience. But that led to Transloc, which is probably one of the highlights of my career, without a doubt. But I decided, I really liked this guy. I liked what I learned in the interviews, and we've kept in touch ever since.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. So there are two things that happened as a part of that. Um, I vowed to never be in a situation where I had multiple candidates and I allowed one or some of them to walk. I took on this new approach that if I find someone great, I am going to move heaven and earth to get that person on our team. If it's I have to go find money, if I have to adjust our budget, if I have to do whatever, because finding great people is so rare. And we had two, and I was narrow-minded in my view. Like, well, I have to choose one. No, I didn't. I could have found a way to hire Eric, but the way Eric responded was pretty amazing, and I've never seen anybody else do what he did, where he reached out and just wanted to stay in touch. And we've done that over those, it sounds like it's 7 years now. uh, and we just go to lunch and hang out and talk, and we're friends now. Eric tries to get me to go to disc golfing, and I never do because I'm a jerk. But he's become a part of my life, and when I've hit rough patches, Eric's someone that I know I can talk to about these various things. And he's not going to have the answers, but he's not there to provide the answers. He's there to poke and prod and nudge me along the way to where I discover what the right answer is. So that's something that I value a ton, both as defining who Eric is as a person. That's an amazing thing, but also the fact that he's just become a friend because of the investment that we've both made over these past 7 years. So it's fantastic. And again, another example of I never should have let Eric walk. It's just further proof that I shouldn't have done that. But Eric has done some pretty amazing things throughout his career. And the next thing I want to ask Eric about is you've done something that so many people aspire to do in the agile world. You worked for a Transloc, sizable company, doing well, and you led the agile services team, if I remember the name correctly. And you were so successful that the rest of the organization started to reach out to Eric and his team to say, hey, can we get some of that? So, can you talk through how that happened, how you reacted, what that evolved to?
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. I would say it started with having the right leadership in place. The CEO I worked for, Doug Kaufman, was phenomenal. His vision on building a company, he called it the 4 Ps: purpose, people, product, profit. You know, they all matter, but the sequence is important. Um, and so, just that philosophy and his belief in people and empowering people and moving decisions down really set a really cool environment where I was able to do some pretty cool things. Also partnered with a great director of engineering, probably one of my best partners I've ever had since Josh didn't hire me. Um, but Jamie Howard is evolutionary in what he's thinking in towards of how to build or engineering organizations, um, and just his passion for agile is unmatched, really. So in a lot of ways, I got really lucky. I came in as the scrum master. I was working with the teams, and we started doing really well. We had a great crew around us. The teams really started producing value. As we grew, I was able to hire. So I had, I think, 5 scrum masters at one point, working with the different teams. And the really you mentioned agile services. There was a point there we were agile practices at one point, and then I made the shift intentionally to agile services because I wanted to present us to the rest of the organization as, hey, we have things that we can offer. We can help you with facilitation of meetings, with team building, with workshops and things like that. And as soon as I did that, I found other departments starting to reach out. Hey, can you help us with our workshop or team building? And it was pretty spectacular. They moved us to the VP of People Ops, and we were working throughout the entire company, trying to make us an agile company. Didn't quite get there, but it was an amazing experience along the way.
But you didn't get there because of time, right? Because of an acquisition within the company and some of the leadership changes and stuff like that. But like you were on the path. It wasn't like you failed. It's just like you didn't get enough time to get there, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, there was an acquisition and there was a merger and there was
Yeah,
leadership changes and
stuff happens.
yeah, yeah, there were definitely some obstacles.
Yeah, yeah, which unfortunately happens, but that was one of those things that I always aspired to, and I worked at companies. In fact, the company I was working at when I made the decision to not hire Eric, which he reminds me of often, which is fair. Uh, the CEO asked me if there could if Agile could work across the rest of the organization, and the answer was yes, and we talked it through. But I never got the opportunity to actually make that a reality. And Eric's the only person I know that ever had the success in really making that happen. And as Eric may tend to do, he downplayed his role in making that happen and talking about all of the opportunities that were around him, the people that he was working with. But that doesn't happen without someone like Eric leading the charge. So that's why Eric is a guy that I want to make sure is a part of this series where we talk about people that deserve more of the spotlight and really are rock stars that are out there. So throughout that process, was there one thing that was like way harder than you expected to try and roll it out to the rest of the company, or was it pretty silky smooth? It's just like once you got going, it took off.
Definitely was not silky smooth. Um, I would say, I think the biggest challenge was trying to get all of us on the same cadence. Like product, we got really good in product and engineering of planning and doing our work, and we actually had our customers and even some of our customer experience folks like, "Hey, can you slow down?" Which was the first time in my career. It's like, wow, we're actually being asked to slow down a little bit. This is great. But trying to get us all coordinated into like a single flow, I never was able to do that. Never conquered that one.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest challenge.
Gotcha. Okay. Last two questions. Where is the gold chain, and can I have it?
Do I have it? I think it's on my dresser. If you
I,
want it, you can have it.
I don't want it. It's probably worth a ton. The price of gold keeps
No,
going up.
it's fake. It was $30 on Amazon.
Perfect.
I did
Even
it
better.
actually. I don't remember if I'd seen you on the podcast or not, and maybe we talked about it afterwards. But I know you'd go into interviews similarly, where
Oh
you
yeah,
come
yeah,
in
yeah.
with a t-shirt, and that's what I mean. I don't again. I don't remember if I picked that up from you or not, but I did that intentionally because I want to know: do you want me for me, or do you want me because of the way I dress?
Exactly. Amen. I do that very intentionally, and it gives me a quick window into if this is a company I want to be a part of, because stuff like that is very important to me. It's not like I've heard people that heard me say that in a podcast and went and did that and then didn't get a job that they wanted, but they didn't really like it wasn't that important to them. Like, okay, that was not the intent for everybody to just go into meetings with CXOs and board members in jeans and a t-shirt, right? So, uh, yeah, it's got to be right for you, but that's something that I use. Okay, lastly, um, disc golf. Has
Mm.
that been so if you know uh, Eric, you know he's also known as the Agile Biker. He has replaced the biker part with disc golf, Eric, or Agile disc golf, something like that. How often do you play? And are you going to go pro? If so, I would like an autograph before you do become pro.
Whew, man, I wish. The dream would be to go pro. I'm not anywhere near good enough, but I play every single week. I got a group of guys I play with on Sundays. We go out and have a weekly match. I play in tournaments at least once a month. I have one coming up next weekend. There is a pro tour, and some of the top pros are making 10-year, $10 million contracts. I missed that boat. But there is a Masters division that I could compete in, but I've got a ways to go.
Gotcha. Is that like the senior tour, or
It's
it is? Okay.
they call it the age protected divisions.
Age protected. That's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
getting
Okay. Yes, Black Paladin. He does play disc golf. I didn't know that was a thing that Paladins played. But yeah, Eric's one of the two guys in technology that I know that are not super obsessed is strong words. Okay, he's got one within arm's reach. Stuart Eves, who is going to be on this as well, aka Disco Stew,
I've got
is
more.
a disc. Come on, okay, all right. So maybe you are obsessed. I think that's the sign of obsession. So
All right, here's my tag.
look at that. Okay, I guess I shouldn't have backpedaled on the obsession. So
Yeah, a little bit.
cool. All right. Anything else you'd like to say in attack of me or anything? Like, this is an opportunity in a public space. I won't cut out any of your cheap shots or jabs. If there's any cheap shot you want to take at me, now's the time.
No, man. Honestly, I can't, because you gave me the greatest gift by not hiring me. I think. I mean, you gave me two things. One, you gave me Translook, which,
Yeah.
again, wow, it was the pinnacle of my career. And two, I think our friendship. I don't know what our friendship would have been like had we been boss employer, but just being able to work with you over the last 7 years, and you've helped me, you've mentored me, you've coached me, and so I've got nothing but good things to say.
Even about my work in progress limit?
You suck at work in progress.
So Eric is the guy that will sit at lunch with me, and as I tell him with a straight face, I think my inability to control my work in progress limit is a superpower, and I'm just going to embrace it. And that's something I said to Eric, and he sat there, heard it, responded as he should as a agile coach, and just he didn't smack me, but he like guided me back into the right direction. By the end of our discussion, I was like, oh dang, you're right, that was kind of silly of me to say that. So Eric's that guy. He's fantastic. So
now, the question is, has it resulted in any change?
see, he's really good at asking the annoying questions. And like, I like to be the one that asks the annoying questions, and it's not as fun when someone else does it to me. But yes, it has. I have reduced my work in progress. I just discussed with Mr. Galen adding something to that, but I haven't done it yet. So yeah, not great. Yes, Mr. Paladin, I'm trying to launch a League of Legends team and an organization.
Oh, not surprising. I mean, he also has a sports league. He also has T-shirts. He also has.
Yeah, it's a never-ending battle for Eric, and I apologize for that. So, all right. Thank you, Eric. Great to have you here, and thanks for everybody in the chat. This will be on YouTube sometime soon when my work in progress limit allows me to edit this.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet.